Hello and welcome to the Gothic Unicorn. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of my miniature treasures. These are miniatures that I've bought over, well, a good many years and that I've recently been rediscovering, and I thought that maybe you might like a peek into my miniature treasure chest. This little journey of rediscovery began when I went hunting for some bits to finish off my wardrobe trunk recently. I couldn't find what I was looking for, but it did get me thinking about what else I could repurpose into my attic. One piece that I was really keen to put in was this piece. Now this is an armoire. It's not a wardrobe because it has shelves inside. And what I realised when I pulled it out of the storage box in which it's been living for the last 3 years, maybe 4 years actually, was that many of the little treasures that I'd dressed it with previously were still inside. Now the doors will not stay open like this, but if I move it, I can actually remove some of the contents, and you can see that it is a complete box of tricks. There's even somebody's glasses in one of the little drawers. Now these pieces, I don't know who made them, and it's kind of sad because I've bought little bits from all kinds of makers. I've actually got things inside. This is a wedding veil, and inside the box there is indeed some lace. It could be an old-fashioned veil. Let's put that back together. It's lasted this long, I don't want to damage it now. And then this one is a lucky garter, complete with blue ribbon and a little tiny bow. Most of these things I picked up purely because I like them. That is my kind of problem. I love the little details when it comes to miniatures, and this is no exception. It's just a little box, but it isn't, because inside are all kinds of little trinkets and love letters. And I believe that somewhere in there there's even a photograph and a little tiny cameo. And of course this one is a real difficult one to get packaged back up properly, which is why the lid isn't on properly, because I took it apart the other day because I couldn't remember what was in there. And in case you were wondering about the other contents that you glimpsed in the armoire, we have somebody's school day satchel. It's just a simple piece, but it looks quite effective. We have an empty shoebox that I think I intended to fill at one point or another. And then we have some just plain boxes. We have a Meccano set, a train set, and a Airfix model of a Mini. Just little things that add that little extra touch of detail, which is what I love. Now the next piece that I'm going to share with you is one that's very special to me. This is actually the very first thing that I ever bought on eBay. Way back, many years ago. I'm not going to tell you exactly how many, but if you've been following my videos, you know that I've had my doll's house for the best part of 2 decades. Now, before I bought this, I had been buying my miniatures exclusively from certain catalogue places. They were Dolls House companies that sold by catalogue. I mean, now they're all online, but then it was a catalogue and an order form, and you sent your order off in the post. But this was different. This was the first piece that I bought from a real miniature maker, and it is the most gorgeous little corset. And it has even got braid on the back that looks like lacing. Now, as you can see, I've never had reason to put this into a doll's house. As much as I love it, the right locality, the right reason has never come along, which is why it's still in its original bag. It is still in its original bag with its sticker saying collector's item only, not suitable for children, and with the maker's details on the other side. This was made by a lovely lady who I bought several things off over the years, and I would one day love to put it into a doll's house, but for now it's going back into its bag to be kept nice and safe. Now, I could not mention my favourite treasures without mentioning this piece. This piece is called Squawk. That's all I remember about it. That, and that I spent £22 on it, which my partner at the time thought was an extraordinarily large amount for a twig and two little plastic birds. Well, that was his opinion. And they're not plastic birds. They are Fimo. Somebody actually sat and sculpted these two little African grey parrots. And I still love them as much as I did when I first saw them on a stand at Miniatura at the NEC. It still makes me smile because growing up we had an African grey parrot, and I recognise both of the expressions, the sort of "oh, what have I done" from the top one, and the kind of angry squawking from the one lower down. I really need to find the perfect place to put that in my doll's house. It's been in my doll's house before, but it's always been sort of moved from room to room because I never knew quite where it should belong. But it's going to go back in, and I wish I knew who'd made it because it is absolutely stunning. I was an avid eBayer back in the day when you could find some really good things on eBay and not all cheap tat. Now, I'm not saying that now you can't find good things on eBay, but it's really difficult, and unless you've got a link to a seller or to an actual item that you know you want, you can be going through thousands and thousands of items of the same old, same old. Now, this piece came from France. It is a traditionally French kind of sweets, some kind of bonbons. I'm not 100% sure what it's supposed to be, but I just thought it was really pretty. It's signed on the bottom, and I do apologise to the artist. I'm not sure which way up your little signature goes, and for the life of me I cannot remember your name. I'll actually bring that closer to the camera so you can see it. I have a cake by the same lady. I bought this and it was relatively pricey but acceptable, and not long afterwards her pieces got the attention that they should, and the price, particularly of her cakes, went sky high. And I spent a long time following her auctions, watching, waiting until I was able to find a cake that I could afford. And I still really like that particular piece, but I also really like this because it is just such a little detailed piece, and I don't think you'll actually be able to see how much detail there is in terms of all the little bits that are inside. This piece may or may not be the first thing that I made for my doll's house. I am not sure whether I made this first or whether I made the wooden shelves for my pantry. This was a kit, a basket making kit, and I was so scared to do it. Compared to what I've done since, this is nothing, but back then, well, I hadn't made anything this small. And it's actually quite straightforward. The wood, add for the base, add the holes for the paper covered wires to go in, and then you used thread to weave round and make the basket. I then had to make a tiny little braid which was glued on top to finish it off. Now I like it. It has sat in my doll's house bathroom full of toiletries, but I'm not going to have a bathroom in this current doll's house, so I've really got to think about how I can repurpose this, because it'd be a shame not to include it. Now I may make a lot more of my own miniatures these days, but I still have the utmost respect for people who can create things that are so realistic in such a small scale. And back in the day, and I'm talking of 15 years ago, maybe a little bit more, I was absolutely in awe of the Fimo artists. It's still something that I've never managed to sum up the courage to actually try. And my absolute idea of heaven was going to a doll's house show, normally at the NEC, Miniatura, and drooling over Angie Scar's stand. This basket of vegetables came from her stand, and I still love it. I love that the vegetables are dirty and they look like they've just come from the garden. And it's another piece that has moved in and out of my doll's house over the years, as I've sort of changed the kind of bits that I'd got in the kitchen. But it's not going anywhere. It's definitely going to stay. Now, I used to read the Doll's House magazines avidly at this time, and I'm sure it was in a magazine that I saw that she was doing some tropical fruit baskets for the next show, and I had to have one. It's only a small basket with its, well, there's star fruit, there's dragon fruit, there's pomegranate. I think that might be papaya, and I'm not sure what the other one is. And I've never really known how to display this because, well, unless you were going to be drawing it, you wouldn't exactly leave fruit out cut neatly in half. But the level of detail is absolutely stunning. And considering that this is as old as it is, it's still looking absolutely brilliant. An absolute testament to the workmanship. And I think while I've just been filming this, I've just had an idea of how I can use it. So this video is coming in useful. These days I am essentially a miniature maker, as opposed to back when I bought the items that I'm showing you, when I was most definitely a collector. Now, I don't rule out buying things even now, especially when they are from such skilled crafters, artisans even, that I could never match them in their particular field. And one of those, in addition to the Fimo, which I'm never going to get up there, is actual artwork. Now this is an original watercolour that I bought off eBay back in 2003. Yes, 18 years ago. That's quite a scary thought. It is a picture of Windsor Castle in the snow by an artist called Dave Williams. Now, I fell for this picture because of that beautiful sky with all those wonderful colours. And the fact it was Windsor Castle was sort of neither here nor there. I liked it, I bought it. And at the time, this picture was listed on the artist's website as being in my collection. And it gave me no small amount of pride to think that I was a collector. I was not just somebody that played with dolls' houses. Back when I was collecting miniatures, I would try to find a doll's house shop of some description everywhere that I went. And I visited miniature suppliers from York to Weymouth and lots of places in between as well. But none of the pieces I've bought from there, from any of the shops, holds as much affection for me as this one, because this came from the Welsh town where I studied and got my degree. I actually bought this a few years after I had graduated. I went back for a visit and a model shop had opened up, and I picked something that was quintessentially Welsh. The Love Spoons are definitely associated with Wales, and this was made in Wales. It's actually carved from wood, just like the real thing would be. And if you know anything about Love Spoons, you'll know that the shapes that are carved into them tell a story. And I've got a heart and a bell. Now, I can't for the life of me remember off the top of my head what they're supposed to mean, but whatever it means, it's a very precious little treasure to me. I could go on for hours showing you pieces that I love, that I'd forgotten that I'd fell for all those years ago, but I'm actually going to finish with some kits. These were kits that I bought intending to make, or try to make, my own miniature treasures. And as you can see, they've sat for the last 17 or 18 years in their original packets. I have a parasol kit, 2 kits to make fabric items, a apron and kitchen accessories set, and a set that makes toddler and baby outfits. And I've got a hat box kit. Now, the hat box kit, I think, is now most definitely within my capabilities. I might not have had the confidence before, but I've got used to working with card and paper and bending it into shapes, so I'll probably be giving that one a go quite soon. And again, the parasol is not that complicated, I don't think. I think I've actually had it out of the packet at some point in the past, but it got tucked away because I didn't have the nerve to start it. I may, however, leave these a bit longer. Certainly the toddler and baby clothes set is a bit daunting to me. The instructions are rather small, as are the pieces, as is only to be expected, to be fair. And not only have I got to cut them out, but there's sewing and gluing to be done. So they may have to wait a bit longer, although I'm sure they would be perfect in the right setting. And even I might have a setting that calls for them in the not too distant future. I may instead try the apron set first. I don't know why I picked the gingerbread apron. There's lots of other ones looking at the back. But again, I'm sure it would be great in the right Christmas kitchen. You never know. I may do a little Christmas room box or something at some point, because I've got rather a lot of Christmas things that I've collected, particularly Christmas food preparations. I'm a bit of a fan of those little boards you get where you're preparing a certain thing, and I know for definite I've got gingerbread and mince pies. So we'll see. It may inspire me yet. Thank you for joining me for this little trip down my own personal miniature memory lane. I've really enjoyed rediscovering some of my little treasures from the past, and I hope you have too. And if you would like to see more of this kind of thing, please let me know. Leave me a comment or drop me a message over on Facebook. I'm always interested to find out what people think of my videos. If you have enjoyed it, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, bye!